So what's going on, guys? This is just going to be a quick follow-up video to my last video because I keep seeing the same comments popping up over and over and over, and they're starting to drive me up the wall, and I just wanted to address on them, right? It's this idea that Charlie Herlocker had to completely rebuild this thing from the ground up, and they give us something entirely brand new. Because apparently, MetaZoo died and filed for bankruptcy because people didn't like the direction that Mike was taking it. They didn't like the overall layout and design of the cards, and apparently they didn't like the actual artwork itself. Which honestly couldn't be farther from the truth. If you were here during its heyday, like I said in my last video, then you know how big MetaZoo was. They were literally putting out banger after banger after banger, and it was one of the biggest TCGs during COVID times. People could not get enough of that shit. MetaZoo did not die because of the overall layout of the cards. They didn't die because of Mike's direction. It died because it was being ran terribly. The management was just god-awful. That's the reason why MetaZoo died. They were overprinting stuff. They had too many different variations of cards, too many different promo cards. There was all these different conflicts going on. They couldn't ship stuff or anything. There's just so many different reasons why it died, but it's because of the overall management. It wasn't the game itself. It wasn't the product. The product was an absolute banger. Everybody that was into MetaZoo loved it. Yes, there was a lot of hate from the outside, but just like Rudy said, the more hate you have, the more you're actually doing something right. And that's why he said, see me again in like 5 years, and we're going to see where MetaZoo was. He actually believed in it because he thought it was going to blow up. And had it not got ran into the ground, I think it would have been huge. But unfortunately, Mike stunted its growth. And that's just the reality of it, right? Because what they were delivering on was amazing. The product was top notch in a lot of ways. They could improve on a lot of things, but people loved it, man. They just absolutely loved it. And that's the reality here. They didn't need to rebuild shit. They could have took what was already there and just improved upon it. You know what I mean? Pull back, tame back some of those darker tones so it reached like a more broader audience. You know what I mean? They could have polished some of the card designs up a bit, but continue to give us the same layouts overall with the same art style. And this thing just would have been home run after home run after home run, and everybody would have been happy. Imagine a world where Mike Waddell and Charlie Herlocker are working together. Mike Waddell with the actual direction and vision for the game, and Charlie could be working with the business side. With Pokemon's printers and everything else, all the resources that he has, MetaZoo could be absolutely huge. But unfortunately, it's not the world that we're living in. We're living in this crazy world now where they're scrapping everything because they think they need to do so. Completely rebuild this from the ground up, but it's like you don't need to do that. That's not what made MetaZoo great. What was there is what made it great. Management is what killed it. You guys are good managers, so manage it right, but just give us what we already had. Improve upon it. Polish it up. You know what I mean? You can do some of your own things in there for sure. You know what I mean? Don't have to do exactly what Mike wanted to do, you know? You can kind of flavor it up and sprinkle some stuff in. And this thing could be absolutely amazing. I'm not asking for a complete carbon copy of what MetaZoo was, but just give us, you know, something that resembles it, right? Because this doesn't resemble it at all. But unfortunately, it's not what we're getting. You know, and you could say, well, they need to do this to get a broader audience and for it to sell, this, that, and the other. It's like, well, maybe it's true. I don't own a business. You know what I mean? I don't have that experience and knowledge. But I believe what they had was selling. People were buying that shit like hotcakes. It was blowing up, man. It was blowing up. It was huge. Everybody knew what MetaZoo was. Even Pokemon knew what MetaZoo was. They were probably even a little worried for a while there because it was just growing and growing and growing. And eventually it hit a brick wall and Mike was banning everybody and it got stunted. But before then, it was taking off like a rocket. It really was. And for good reason, because it was good. It was absolutely good, you know? And a lot of people loved it. And the people that didn't, they were changing their mind. Over time, a lot of people were getting converted. They were opening up their eyes and going, holy shit, this ain't a knockoff after all. This is actually pretty good. A lot of people that love Pokemon, they're hating on MetaZoo, they were starting to be converted over the years of its existence until it hit a brick wall and started banning everybody and blew up. Then they said, well, fuck this is garbage. But before then, it was actually good. You know what I mean? You could have took this and made it something amazing. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. You know, and now what we're getting is just a bunch of bullshit. And it pisses me off because there's so much potential there. And I wish we lived on another timeline. I really do. But fortunately, this is the timeline that we're living on. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I really don't. Maybe they have success, but I don't think it's going anywhere.